What do you get when you mix a quarterback with two bum legs and a defensive secondary that rivals Butch Cassidy? You guessed it, a Packers team that is on a roll, but the real work starts now. That team that still, well, you know, is up next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Hey Packers fans, this is your unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, and these are the podcasters you're looking for. One of these guys actually kissed the magical 13.5-yard line, and the other guy will challenge you to a game of pinball anytime. And now, it's time to Go Pack Go with your hosts, Wayne Henderson and Troy Heinrichs.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of your Packers Fan Podcast, the Podcast Awards finalist show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. Call us, won't you? Keep this number handy anytime, 24/7. Give us a call at 920-3PACK-GO. That's 920-372-2546. Simply visit PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback as well. This is episode number 123 of your Packers Fan Podcast. It's December 13th, 2016, and we'll have the show notes at PackersFanPodcast.com/123.
On this episode, we're going to talk about how it's better to go on the Seahawks podcast and talk about the keys to the game, because everything I said on that podcast on my special visit with them at SeahawkersPodcast.com was totally spot on and actually won us the game. So, but for this show, we'll actually go over what we liked and what we really liked about our win over the Seahawks. Plus, we'll share some injury news, and we'll look at some other news as it relates to the Green Bay Packers.
There's a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight, as well as having a few of the tidbits from the Packers dope sheet for the Packers at Bears game. And of course, Troy, you will have more keys to the game. You'll have the keys to the Packers beating the Bears, and we'll have our wild guesses of the final score of this week's Packers matchup against the Bears. And chilling in Southern California here in the Inland Empire, home to Packers Kenny Clark, I'm at Wayne Henderson. Yep, your voice acting, podcasting part owner of the Green Bay Packers.
And I am at Troy Heinrichs, and I'm super excited the Packers are actually coming to my town for once. That's right, because gas is expensive in the winter to drive up to Green Bay. And it's dangerous, too. The Packers Fan Podcast is available on demand and on the go with our free Packers Fan Podcast app. It's for iOS and Android. It's presented by theticketking.com. Remember, you're not sold out until the king is sold out. Get Packers tickets at the best prices by visiting PackersFanPodcast.com/tickets for all the details. One home game left this year, but they can help you with away games too. So make sure you check them out. PackersFanPodcast.com/tickets to get your stuff from theticketking.com.
And let me tell you, Troy, even though I have no way of getting to Chicago for this game coming up this weekend, I checked out the site and was looking at some of the prices going, wow, you know, I could sit high up on the 50-yard line in the very chilly temperatures for a pretty good price, but I have no way of getting there. But if you do, again, PackersFanPodcast.com/tickets for theticketking.com.
And, you know, I actually was looking at that, seeing if it would be a possibility. And then I remembered, you know, if I'm sitting at the 50-yard line in that upper deck, I'm actually facing the lake, which means I'm facing the wind.
Oh,
and, yeah, with a 3-degree potential kickoff at noon, plus the wind chill factor, I'm like, yeah, the couch looks pretty good.
Toasty as well. And this past week, we had a convincing win over the Seahawks. What a thing of beauty that game was. Where on earth do we start? Because there were highlights for everybody.
One might actually call it a slaughter, if you can believe it, from the 2016 campaign. Yes, the same team that was on a 4-game losing streak. Everybody wanted to fire Mike McCarthy. Everybody wanted to fire Aaron Rodgers. Everybody wanted to fire even Ted Thompson, the man we trust. And look where we are now. We are on fire, people. I mean, I didn't even get a chance to turn on the game, and we were up 7-0.
Surprise.
I was like, what just happened? Was that a 60-plus yard play on a pass from Aaron Rodgers to Devontae? What year is it?
It's this year. Reality has come. The Packers are finally playing like the Packers. And if they can do that against the Seahawks, And
then, of course, touchdowns by Ty Montgomery. 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. I was excited to see that. because that hasn't happened a lot this year unless Aaron Rodgers was the one running the ball in.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And Jordy Nelson, he got some love as well.
2 touchdowns for him, which helped me beat. Yes, that's right. Super fan Aaron. You've heard him call into the podcast. He actually played against me in the fantasy football playoffs this weekend. And thanks to that second touchdown from Jordy Nelson, victory for me.
Excellent. And in my Yahoo Pick'em League, where I just pick the games straight up, who's going to win, who's going to lose, I am now 4 games in first place. That's never happened before. And fortunately, I had the wisdom to not only pick the Packers, but also pick the Giants to beat the Cowboys this past weekend. So I'm on a roll as well.
Yeah, the Giants, I mean, remember, that's a team that we beat, and they're looking hot, and they have to play the Detroit Lions yet, people. So we might actually not even have to worry about that last game of the season because Detroit could lose 2 before they even show up against us.
That thought ran through my mind between playing the Dallas Cowboys and then the New York Giants. Yeah, it's going to be fun. This is definitely the most wonderful time of the year because the playoffs, things are happening. There's teams that are totally out of the playoffs. No Carolina Panthers. There's no chance they're going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl again this year. And Denver's hanging on by a thread in the AFC.
Yeah, it's a really strange turn of events from last season to this season. The Arizona Cardinals, right, who knocked us out of the playoffs, they may be on the outside looking in this year as well. Really, really interesting times, to say the least.
I think things are looking good for the Green Bay Packers, and I love it.
I tell you, after this game this week, nobody wants to play against us. Not a single team, even the New England Patriots. Tom Brady's even scared.
Oh, absolutely. And our defense, we actually had some defense, and there were interceptions left and right. I mean, Russell Wilson's out there going, you get a turnover, you get a turnover, everybody gets a turnover.
I know, he was like shelling it out like Oprah. What a nice guy he is. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember when I used to play in Wisconsin. I just want to help out the hometown team. Here you go. Here's the ball. You can have a ball. You can have a ball.
It was beautiful because it's been so long since we've got that many interceptions in a game or even close to that many. And it just fabulous. Yeah,
I know. Can we say like superhero status for Damaris Randall? Because I don't know where he came from because that was a sure 6 points for Seattle on his interception. He literally flew in the air to pick off that one. It was such a thing of beauty that he was able to pull that down. And granted, we have to give a little bit of a nod to the Seattle wide receivers because a lot of these passes weren't Russell's fault. And this was literally bounced off your helmet, bounced off your shoulder pad. We just happened to be sitting there and the ball fell in our hands. Oops, sorry. But we'll take it because, hey, points for us.
And it was unusual after the game to hear a couple of Packers talk about the Seahawks players playing dirty, which, you know, they try not to show any of the dirty plays on television all that much. But the fact that the Packers were calling out some Seahawks, but instead of causing too many fights, we just played even better and just took it to them.
You saw that cheap shot that Sherman threw on Devontae Adams. I mean, it was nice to see right at the end of the game that Devontae Adams totally threw it back at Sherman's face. That was totally awesome.
Oh yeah, I saw some animated GIFs of that. That Devontae, he got the perfect revenge, and now it's all over the internet forever.
Preserved for history. And let's talk about that end around, the reverse by Brent Hundley. I was even confused. I seriously thought the ball was going to the right side. And then here comes Janice, top of your screen, screeching in, and oh my gosh, did he just run in for a touchdown? That was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, and it was great to see Brett Hundley getting some work because, you know, Aaron Rodgers, he's a little banged up. Obviously, he's going to play all the rest of the games if at all possible, but we need to get Brett Hundley some reps just in case. And it was good to see that he got that much time, not just the final 60 seconds of the game.
Now, let's be clear. He's not a little banged up. He's a lot banged up. He's had the hamstring injury in the left leg, and then he ends up doing something to his calf muscle on that throw to Devontae Adams to start the game. So now he's got 2 bum legs. So that really limits his mobility, and that'll be a factor when you talk about the Minnesota defense coming up here and, of course, the Detroit Lions. I don't think the Bears are too much to worry about on the defensive side. But, yeah, scrambling is going to be something he has to do against Minnesota.
Yeah, so it's just good to have the backup get some work just in case.
And how great was the defense? I mean, yes, we still gave up a little bit about, I think it was 100 yards on the ground, a little bit more to Rawls. But at the same time, it seemed like we were closing. We were getting some sacks. We were getting some pressure. So it was good to see that front seven finally starting to show up again, because that's what we're going to need when it comes to playing this new guy on the Bears this week.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's flip-flopped. At the beginning of the year, we were stopping the run like nobody's business and letting everything else go, but now it's the other way around. So if we can fine-tune it and get a little bit of both, we'll be in fine shape.
There were a few injuries coming out of this game. Of course, Ty Montgomery had a little bit of a bruise up, and then Randall Cobb had a bruise up. Jared Cook, that chest injury that he got when the guy landed on top of him, man, that
Yikes.
looked like it hurt on TV.
Yes.
So hopefully that those guys will be able to go and add some more to the offense as we look forward to the Bears coming to town. It's pretty exciting stuff right now in the Green and Gold Nation.
It's Bears week, so I'm sure the radio stations in Wisconsin are playing that song. In fact, based on the Bears record, some of the radio stations in Chicago might be playing that song.
Oh, no, now it's all renewed vigor and energy down here. You'd be surprised. I saw an actual article that came out that literally declared that this new guy is going to be the franchise quarterback of the future.
Seriously.
Yes, Matt Barkley is the Bears' future. Like I couldn't believe I was reading the article. I was, wow, really? Like Cutler's not even off the team yet, and you're just going to make that declaration? That's interesting.
Ouch. We'll see if they're still saying the same thing after this week's game.
Yeah. Give you a little bit of dose of reality. I mean, good for him. He actually was in the game, keeping it close against the Lions. We thought they might actually be able to pull it off. And you know what? They did if the offensive line wasn't just a bunch of doofuses, because literally he throws for first down twice, and both times a holding call. So we know that the Bears offensive line ain't too smart upstairs, so that should help us out in the long run.
Yeah, I was watching the end of that game, just hoping against hope. Please, Bears, you can beat the Lions. Help out the Packers. Come on. And they just threw it out the window. And then, of course, the Jags didn't help us out either.
Well, I thought this was an interesting stat from the game. Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, after this game, connecting for 2 touchdowns. That was number 56 and number 57. Together, that ties them now with Brett Favre and Antonio Freeman for the most prolific quarterback-receiver combination in Packer team history.
Holy cow, that is amazing. I knew that they had a lot of touchdowns together, but I really had no idea that they were that close to Favre and Freeman, because that was one of my favorite duos back in the day. Amazing.
And you think about how long Favre played, right? 16 years. Here, Aaron's only been under center since 2008. So he's only got half that time that he's played with Jordy versus what Brett was able to play with Antonio. So, I mean, that's saying a lot that Jordy is Aaron Rodgers, number 2.
Which means that we could see Jordy Nelson even in the Packers Hall of Fame someday.
I would think so. I mean, that's a lot of touchdowns, 57, and then he'll get 58, 59, and 60 this weekend.
I love the optimism, Troy.
Hey, man, I need all the points I can get this week to make it to the championship of the fantasy football in my league.
Do it, Troy. Do it. Do it now. Over the past few weeks in our weekly Twitter poll that we put out on Mondays, there hasn't been quite as much confidence with the listeners and the people that vote in the Twitter poll at Packers Fan Pod. But after beating the Seahawks, as we predicted, the confidence level is way high, because this week I posted out, now it all comes down to an all NFC North battle for the final 3 weeks. How do you think our Packers will do in these 3 divisional games?
Could you read that again in your NFL Films voice?
Now it all comes down to all NFC North battles. How do you think our Packers will do in these 3 divisional games? And the choices were win all 3 games, win 2 of the 3 games, or we may only win 1 of the 3 games, because obviously not winning any is not an option and it's not going to happen. But I was surprised at the outpouring of confidence, because, Troy, 86% of the people that voted at Packers Fan Pod said we are going to win all 3 of these NFC North games.
I think that is a really good prediction right there. Tempo is going. We're 3 in a row. Confidence is up. People are smiling. People are going to the fundamentals. The secondary is get their takeaways up. 5 takeaways plus a fumble recovery. I mean, oh my gosh, 6 turnovers in one game.
And Randall Cobb is helping put out the fire at Aaron Rodgers' house.
This is true.
In that crazy commercial. And
oh my gosh.
Some of the other votes that came in, the other 14% of the votes all went to the fact that we're going to win 2 of the 3 games. And nobody voted saying that we're only going to win 1 of the 3 games. So you're right, Troy. Confidence is high. And be prepared for another Twitter poll on Monday at Packers Fan Pod. And let's go and win those 3 games, Troy.
Yeah, and the one, if we lose one of these games, the only one we could probably lose would be to the Bears, because I think we need to win the Minnesota game so that we can have a slight edge against them if a tie-breaking situation occurred. And we absolutely need to win against Detroit because we already beat them once. So solidifying a win there will absolutely give us the tiebreaker. So I think that the Minnesota game and the Detroit game are the 2 that you have to win. And obviously, if you lose against the Bears, God forbid, but it's happened last year. But if we do lose against the Bears, there's still a sliver of chance that we could make it into the playoffs as the NFC North title because of the fact that Detroit still has to play Giants, Cowboys, Packers. That is a brutal December for the guys that can only win if they come back from 11 points down or more.
Exactly. And Matthew Stafford's got a dislocated middle finger or something that's all taped up.
A torn ligament or something, so he's wearing a glove to protect it. But how does that help your throwing hand? That's confusing to me.
I don't know.
So it'll be an interesting sprint to the finish, that is for sure. But, man, now you look at the wild card picture because we'd be in that conversation. But ahead of us, Tampa Bay, Washington, Atlanta. I mean, gosh, you just wish you had that Atlanta and Washington game back at this point. One of those games would have been huge. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So winning the division is our only chance to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that because Atlanta, I mean, granted, this past weekend, they totally demolished the Los Angeles Rams. But, wow, the Rams, that, when you're running back, Todd Gurley says your offense is playing like middle schoolers. Yeah, there's a problem. So
hey, let's be clear though. Those Los Angeles Rams, they beat the Seahawks too.
Yeah, that's the one team they always get up for. The Rams have beaten the Seahawks 3 times in a row. If they beat them this Thursday night, the Seahawks are really going to be scratching their heads.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? There's actually a scenario where if the Lions were to actually drop the next 3 games.
Nice. I love that scenario already.
And the Seahawks were to actually lose 2, we would actually get a number 2 seed if we won out. Can you imagine that? 4-game losing streak to 2nd seed with a first round bye. That would be epic.
I'm imagining it right now, and it's magical, Troy. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Wonderful time of the year. Make it happen. Make it happen. It's going to be hard to make it happen, though, when you have Nick Perry still out indefinitely. You got Mike Pennell, who could only return now for the postseason. But right now, it looks like all the questionable people are sitting there with likely to play next to their names, right? Jared Cook with the chest, got Aaron Rodgers with the calf, Clay Matthews with the shoulder, Randall with the groin, Jake Ryan with the ankle. All of these guys look like they should be good to go for the game against the Bears. So just keep an eye on the practice reports. You can see those at you can see those at Packers.com and keep an eye on who is actually participating. Don Jackson's still out for the season, clearly. Blake Martinez is still week to week. Man, it would be really great to get Blake Martinez back for this run.
Oh, it's imperative.
That middle of the field scares the bejesus out of me when you're coming into these passing quarterback situations.
Well, maybe those other 3 teams that we're going to be playing just won't throw in that middle of the field. The Vikings, their quarterback situation's a little unstable. You never know what's going to happen there. And Matthew Stafford wearing a glove and, well, the Bears having their apparent replacement for Jay Cutler. We'll see.
The future of the franchise, Wayne. The future of the franchise.
It's too early. It's way too early to say that kind of stuff.
He's definitely better than Cutler.
Well,
but yeah.
That should have been the headline, not future of the franchise. Well,
Cutler's finally gone. Bears fans rejoice.
Cutler appeared to be Cutler appeared to be wearing a Seahawks uniform on Sunday against the Packers. Don't know how that happened. Anyway, we want to send out thanks yet again to listeners Saberade and Don Lejeune for their awesome support of the Packers Fan Podcast on Patreon. They're helping make this podcast better by becoming a Patreon supporter. And you too can help out the podcast, help us grow the show, bring you more great content each week, and you can get yourself some great fun rewards as well. Check out all the fun levels at PackersFanPodcast.com/support. And maybe even join Troy Heinrichs at a game during the 2017 season. Again, that's PackersFanPodcast.com/support.
Yeah, look, I went to the vending machine twice today to get $1. I got $1.50 Lipton Brisk iced tea. So literally $3 in stuff I just chugged down into my gut. So you could take that $3 and you can actually send it to us every month, and that would just make us even better, because then we could do things like potentially live post-game call-in shows like you hear normally on the Packers Radio Network. We could do that for all of you who can't pick up WTMJ and the Packers Radio Network, but we can only do that if you guys help us out. So if you got just $5 a month, throw it our way. It's like buying us a beer at the game. It's even cheaper than buying us a beer at the game.
That's for sure.
So definitely make that happen. PackersFanPodcast.com/support. We're in our 6th season. We'd love to have you guys help us out, and then obviously interact with all of you, maybe even do some fun stuff. Maybe we even do like a preseason meetup if we can possibly make that happen, because I do have some preseason tickets as well.
That would be fantastic. So see what you can do to help out the show. We've got big plans for the rest of this season as well as next season. We want it to be bigger and better than ever. Now let's go ahead and check in with the listeners of the Packers Fan Podcast. We got a voicemail to share with you from Texas.
Hi, this is Dawn and Kristen, Granny Cheese from Texas only Greenback Packer Fanatics in Southeast Texas, and we say, go back, no! Great game today. Bye.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Kristen and Dawn, now going by the name Granny Cheese. What do you think, Troy?
I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I love, it sounded like maybe it was a child or I don't know if granddaughter was right now, probably more like a daughter, but it sounded like a child in the background. And I have to share the story. My friend, Scott Clark, he's a big Packers fan, and he was actually at his friend's house and was hanging out with his friend's child, probably, I can't imagine, more than 2 years old. Great video. I'll have to see if I can get the video to put it up on the Facebook page and on Twitter. But he's literally teaching him to say, "Go Pack, go! Go Pack, go! Go Pack, go!" Well, it turns out that this was at a birthday party on Friday night. So Sunday the game is on against Seattle in the house, and they're not Packers fans traditionally, and so literally the game is on, and you can hear him chatting along with the TV. Go Pack, go! Go Pack, go! It was so cute. Cute.
That is good parenting right there. And it looks like Granny Cheese carrying on the great parenting tradition as well. The more Packers fans we can grow and cultivate into the being fans of the good guys, the Green Bay Packers, the better.
Who else do we get there for some fan feedback?
Well, let's see. On Facebook, we heard from John Cook messaging us from an exotic location. Said, great all-around game, especially the defense. Fun watching a Packers game at a Costa Rican Packers bar. Go Pack!
That sounds like an absolutely fun time, because it's a lot warmer there than it is here.
Yeah, if you can get away to Costa Rica and find a Packers bar, that's a win-win. So good. And then on Twitter, Packers Fans Germany says, after this spectacular win over the Seahawks, they can win everything.
Everything is a good thing to win. That would be so much fun.
Winner takes all. Sandra Mendez, thank you, Packers. You are the best. Just keep winning. And now I've got that just keep winning, just keep winning. And Sandra continues, sending warm holiday wishes to you all from Culebra, Puerto Rico. Go Pack Go. More exotic and warm locations checking in. Thank you so much, Sandra. That is awesome. And Miguel Ramirez, Mike Music 7 on Twitter. Wow, Devontae just crushed Sherman. Also, kicker / middle linebacker Mason Crosby makes the tackle. Lol.
Lol. I love when people actually read it. Lol. That's so funny. Yeah, but I mean, Devontae, that was so much fun. I see Sherman kind of deck Devontae out of nowhere at the start of the game, and then for Devontae just to be like, Sherman, take a seat.
Yeah, he was just smacking him down all over the place. And Rob S. on Twitter says, no one could have predicted this. Offense is great and all, but the defense is swarming. Looking great out there. Hashtag go Pack Go. And Monica Montibola said that AR-12 was looking sharp as well. So everybody's looking good, playing well, and victories are coming our way, Troy.
Yeah, the fact that AR-12 was able to put up literally almost a perfect passer rating. I think it was a perfect passer rating, QBR rating for this game with 2 bum legs. That just says a testament to, something was lit under his butt, and he is on fire right now.
So good to see. And it's so great to get the feedback on Twitter, Facebook, and voicemails. Thank you also for all the retweets as well. You guys rock. Much appreciated.
And just like Packer Nation comes through on game day, they come through in other ways as well. For one, Josh McCall, he's a 30-year-old Packer fan. He finally got his wish to come true on Sunday. He wanted to attend a game at Lambeau Field. But Josh, he's no ordinary Packer fan, Wayne. Josh has cerebral palsy and is not living at home. He's actually living in hospice care after many surgeries and infections. And before he passes, Josh had one wish, and that was to meet some of his favorite players at Lambeau Field. Packers organization, along with Packers friends across the country, came together to help make Josh's wish a reality. And boy, what an experience for him to see the Packers literally destroy the Seahawks on Sunday afternoon, who just happened to be the closest team to his house because he and his family are from the state of Washington.
Aha.
Josh got to see warm-ups from the sideline, get a picture with his longtime hero Reggie White in the Packer Hall of Fame. Truly an experience of a lifetime, but where the battle may be over on the field, Josh's battle is not over yet. So Packer Nation was able to help make his wish come true. Now we need Packer Nation to help make his next journey as awesome as possible. So we here at the Packers Fan Podcast during this holiday season, if you can spare just a few dollars, even take the $5 that we said to give to us, take that $5 and go over and help out Josh's care. That would be fantastic. You can visit PackersFanPodcast.com/Josh Wish. That's one word, Josh Wish. PackersFanPodcast.com/Josh Wish. And we'll also have a link to that page in our show notes as well over at /123. When leaving your donation, be sure to let Josh know that you're from the Packers Fan Podcast faithful, and we hope for all the best for him and his family.
Absolutely. That is such a heartwarming story. Packer Nation coming through and helping make that dream come true for Josh. So amazing. It was a chilly day for him, but he got to see a victory, and that'll warm your heart for sure.
And now, making her comeback tour, here is my daughter from when she was 3.5, predicting what will happen for the rest of this season.
Green Bay Packers, Green Bay Packers, they will win, they will win. They'll beat the Vikings, Lions, and the Bears, Green Bay Packers.
Now, as far as the NFC North, we kind of talked about this before. The Lions, they win again. Ugh. They're 9-4. The comeback kids do it yet again. And the Vikings beat the Jaguars. That was kind of expected. They're 7-6. The Packers, 7-6. Just keep winning. Just keep winning. That song is going to stick in my head for now. And the Bears, they're 3-10. And now that they have their new franchise quarterback, I just need to ask, is 3-10 any good?
The 3-10 is not any good.
Oh, I was mistaken.
Some people might even say that 3-10, that's not football.
Yeah, Hank Davis might say that. I mean, compared to the Browns and the 49ers, but
hey, at least they have a franchise quarterback to help them go to, 3-13.
Wow. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go indeed. It is week 15, game 14. Because we are 7-6 makes 13. See math on a podcast. It's all good.
Now, see if they would just get rid of the bye week. It'd make things a lot easier to do.
That's right. Then we can have a 17th game, and then we add an 18th game by getting rid of a preseason game, and everybody's happy because we have more football.
And you had the perfect plan on how to make that happen. Go check out the archives at PackersFanPodcast.com.
So as mentioned, only a 10% chance of snow, but it will be a whopping 3 degrees at kickoff, noon here in Chi-Town, the 312 on the lake at the spaceship that landed inside the colonnades.
It's crazy how that stadium was made over. And since we do have so many listeners in the UK and other parts around the world, just in case you think 3's not all that cold, that's Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah. That's right. 32 times 9 divided. No, I can't do that math on a podcast.
It's cold. It's way below freezing.
Way below zero for you guys. That's the high. Yeah. It'll get colder as the game goes along. And the wind off the lake. It is always brutal in December at Soldier Field. So how are we going to make sure we warm everybody's hearts with a victory this week? Number one, this is not the same Bears team that we saw last time. They have had some success over the past few weeks and almost beat the division-leading Detroit Lions with their franchise quarterback.
Wow.
I laugh every time I say that. This game comes down to one man and one man only. Someone they are touting as the future of the franchise, and that, of course, is one Matt Barkley. He is a non-mobile quarterback, so early pressure on the pocket will actually cause Matt to make errant throws, so pass rush has to be the number one priority this week. Now, playing man-to-man for number 2 on the receivers is probably a good game plan since they really only have Elshon out there, but this does put extra pressure on the safeties. Probably makes more sense to be playing more zone coverage this week, especially to help the middle of the field, because number 3, the Bears will rely heavily on Jordan Howard. This team will go where Jordan Howard goes, and in order for Barkley to feel comfortable, Howard needs to start early. So that means that sealing the gaps with the linebackers, which makes the middle of the field a scary spot in that passing game for the defense. So we have to make sure that we can shore that up. Now, Akeem Hicks is the formidable player on the defense, but with the O-line playing lights out as of late and protecting AR-12, this should not be an issue, but we do need to be aware of where he is because of the ailing number 12 and the limited mobility he will have in this game. We want to make sure that Aaron is protected if he does have to stay inside the pocket. And finally, at number 5, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Montgomery looked good. Christian looked good. He's starting to spin and shake, and Ripkowski's still getting it done. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. It's going to be nasty at Soldier Field. So the Pack really need some methodical play, and they need to do it at their tempo, at their pace, and put the icing on the rivalry this season with the run game.
I see what you did there, Troy.
Uh-huh.
Very nice. Very nice. Those are excellent keys. And yeah, if they implement those, victory will be ours yet again. So good. Now, the Packers came out with their dope sheet a couple hours ago. We got a link to it at PackersFanPodcast.com/123. And basically, the 7-6 Packers make a quick trip down to Chi-Town to play the 3-10 Bears, as you said, Troy, at 12 noon, the heat of the day, Central Time, of course. Now, Sunday will mark game number 194 in the NFL's oldest rivalry. Now, for now, the Bears hold a 94-93-6 edge in the series, which includes 2 playoff games where we're tied 1-1.
We'll fix that this weekend.
Oh, absolutely, because Packers can tie all-time the series with the Bears this coming Sunday for the first time in more than 80 years.
Wow, that is a stat.
It's unbelievable because the Packers have been great since like 93, and not to mention all the time with Lombardi. How on earth did the Bears get such a huge lead in the overall series that has taken us this long to possibly tie it for the first time in 80 years?
Well, there you go. Anybody listening in Packers Nation in the locker room or at Lambeau Field, that is a stat that should ring true as you read the dope sheet, because we need to correct that problem ASAP and get on the leading edge of this rivalry.
Yes, because it's obvious who the better team is, so make it happen. Now, including a 2010 playoff victory at Chicago, which was beautiful, Green Bay has won 19 of the last 23 meetings between the rivals at Soldier Field. At Soldier Field, we've won 19 of the last 23. And with Aaron Rodgers as the starting quarterback, Green Bay is 14-4 during the regular and postseason against the Bears, with one loss coming in 2013 after Rodgers left the game with an injury after the first series, and a big notable connection, none bigger than the fact that Packers linebacker Julius Peppers played for the Bears from 2010 to 2013. Now he has joined the good guys, and I bet he'll make his presence felt on the field yet again this week. Check out the entire dope sheet. There's so much good stuff in there. PackersFanPodcast.com/123 is where we'll link to it.
Last week, Wayne, we thought that the Packers would win, confident.
Yes.
But I thought it was going to be a heck of a lot closer than it actually was. We're talking about a 3-point victory, a 1-point victory. So why don't you go ahead? I'll just give you the floor. Since you picked last week and we won, we're not going to buck the trend either.
No, let's not mess with success. Now, I'm not going to go all the way the other direction simply because we beat the Seahawks by that many points, but we're also playing the Bears and all the things that we already discussed. What it boils down to me is the Packers are going to win big, 39-13.
Well, I thought you said you weren't going to go on that bandwagon, but that looks like you're on that bandwagon to me.
Well, I'm on the bandwagon, but not because we beat the Seahawks by that many points. It's because
it's the Bears.
It's the Bears, and we are on fire.
We are on fire. I'm going to be in that ballpark with you, my friend. I think the defense is coming around. I think the Packers will put up a comfortable 33. The Bears will get a measly 10 points.
If they're lucky.
If they're lucky.
And I bet there's going to be quite a few Packers faithful in the stands at Soldier Field if there were that many tickets available to buy at the Ticket King for this game.
Oh, absolutely. You got people from Green Bay. They will come there. They will be shirtless out there in the cold cheering on the green and gold. So look for this to be more of a home game than an away game.
But it is going to be cold, so.
It's going to be freezing. The people are crazy.
That football is going to be a rock. But I still think, like you said with the keys to the game, get this run game going, and that's where we could get a lot of these touchdowns, because I heard that Ty Montgomery is officially listed as a running back now.
I know. He's doing such a great job. I mean, granted, it's not the number one position where you would think you would have thrown Ty Montgomery out there, but he's got such that wide frame. So for him to be able to just, square up on the pads, put the head down, I mean, he's looking at 4 yards of carry easily every single time he touches the ball. So, yeah, keep him going. Spell him where you can between Starks and Michael, and we'll be good to go on that running game. Just keep ground and pound. It's December football, baby, in the Norris division.
I love it. It's going to be great.
Well, thanks so much for listening this week. We are officially done, and we are unofficial relating to the NFL and the Green Bay Packers. But you know what? We do such a great job here. We hope that we could take over at some point for the great Wayne Larrivee and Larry McCarron someday. Also, don't forget to become one of the Packers Fan Podcast faithful. Visit PackersFanPodcast.com/support. Remember, $5 to us or $5 to Josh. That'd be great. So make sure you do that this holiday season, and make sure you can make the podcast even better in the new year as we finish out the season here in 2016. Tell all your friends that are Packers fans that this is the podcast for them, because it's all about you guys, the fans.
Yes, and we like to do it with a smile, and we can almost guarantee that you will smile at some point during the podcast while listening to Packers news and the previews and all that good stuff. Remember to listen to us on the go with our free Packers Fan Podcast apps for iOS and Android. Again, presented by theticketking.com. Don't get sold out of your next Packers game. There's 3 big ones coming up. Visit PackersFanPodcast.com/tickets for all the details, and all season long, follow us on Twitter @PackersFanPod, and follow me on Twitter. I'm @Wayne Henderson.
And me, I'm @Troy Heinrichs. Be sure to like us on our Facebook page as well. Just visit PackersFanPodcast.com/Facebook to join the community.
And, of course, remember PackersFanPodcast.com/feedback for all the ways that you can get in your feedback and be part of the next episode of the show. Keep those conversations going online. All the Packers talk, the Bears still, Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Packers Fan Podcast.
Be sure to subscribe in iTunes, and if you're loving it, leave us a review as well. Now, let's bring the warmth down there to Soldier Field in the Colonnades. We're going to war, people! That's right, it's Bears, Packers, and you're going to love it. Let us hear you with a Go Pack Go!